Man, we got a special guest in the show tonight.
Yes, sir.
He came on last year. Steve White, ex-NFL player, Bucks and the Jets, SB Nation writer and contributor. Man, he has a wealth of knowledge. If you seen us 2 weeks ago with CJ Wilson, this is another CJ Wilson, just like that. That show. He can go any area, any direction you want to go. If you want to call in and ask about politics, we can go down that road too. So, all right. Without further ado, we're going to go into the show. Steve White. Hey, Steve, what are you doing right now, man? Just introduce yourself. Tell people what you're doing, where you came from, and where you at now, you know?
Well, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Always representing. Played football at Westwood High School there, and went on to play at Tennessee, which was like a dream come true for me.
Who was your coach then?
Ended up, the funny thing is, I never really imagined myself playing in the NFL. Yeah. When I was growing up, I was actually a baseball player. That was my thing. So it was all just kind of crazy to me, that I was even going to get an opportunity to play in the NFL. And then the next thing you know, I've ended up playing 7 years. Actually started in a NFC championship game and got an interception on the first play of the game. So
yes, sir.
Not only did I play, I actually made some plays, some memorable plays that people won't forget. So, it was an amazing ride for me. I couldn't even believe it when it started, and I definitely didn't want it to end when it did.
Right.
But since then I've kind of been finding my way off the field as well. I ended up writing about football, which is something I also never thought I'd end up doing. Wrote for several local outlets here, and then I got hired at Bleacher Report for a hot second, and then got picked up by SB Nation. Man, it was just kind of like a perfect situation for me. They wanted somebody to write who wasn't, perfect diction and perfect wording and the same old lingo that you hear where else. They let me curse. They actually encouraged me to curse, which was also a plus.
Oh yeah,
I like saying a few F-bombs here and there in my story, kind of like an exclamation point. Excuse me. So it was just a really fun ride. Unfortunately, with COVID-19 last year, they ended up basically laying off pretty much the whole NFL team that was covering the NFL for SB Nation. So right now, just kind of doing my own thing, writing for myself, and that's about it. It's still following the game, regardless. I kind of can't take myself away from the NFL. Sometimes I wish I could. They really make it hard for you to cheer for them sometimes, especially nowadays.
Right.
But I just can't. I can't get away from the game.
All right, man. Let's move on, man. We'll stay reminiscing all day, man. Me and Will used to go check out Steve at the games, listen to that loud ass cannon every time y'all scored a touchdown. Bloop. Remember that, Will?
Oh yeah.
I said, man, they got a pirate ship in the damn stadium, man. Hilarious, man.
I was at Mississippi State, man, and when Steve was at University of Tennessee, and I would mess with the Mississippi State offensive line. And I'm talking cash shit about Steve. I said, look, man, he finna come up in here. Boy, you supposed to be going. You go to Mississippi State. How you gonna see him say what the University of Tennessee got? Hey, man, blood thicker than water, man. He come.
Right.
Big line. Well, he ain't gonna be able to do nothing. I said, man, he gonna run straight up over you. And we had a good running back that year, man. Man, Steve came in the next day, man, because we were talking a lot of crap that Friday night. Man, Steve had a hell of a game that game. He had because our running back, man, he was cold, man. Steve hit that fool so hard, he fumbled the ball, cuz deep in it. They won, man. He clowned on that game, man.
Yeah.
You talking about some jokers got mad at me after the game, cuz. But that's neither here nor there, man. I was just reminiscing.
Yeah, man. Let's move on, man. We're going into the NFL. And before we get into the championship games, I wanted to get Steve's perspective on the hiring of black coaches, and just you got a different perspective. Didn't you play for Tony Dungy, right?
Yeah, I played with Coach Dungy.
Right.
My memory isn't always as reliable as I like for it to be.
Yeah.
But sometimes I remember some stuff that kind of just sticks with me, man.
Right.
And I remember something vividly. There was, back in the day when I was still playing in the NFL, for some reason they had Snoop Dogg on the show talking about sports. I think this was like around that time, maybe a couple years after he had started that little league football.
Right.
League of his.
Yeah, the Steelers.
And, obviously he's had a lot of talent come through that little league and stuff like that.
Right.
But something he said, man, bothered the shit out of me. Here he is, coaching little league football. They winning championships and stuff like that.
Right.
But then he started talking about coaching in the NFL. And at this time, this was before any black head coaches had won the Super Bowl. Right. And he basically said, something to the effect of maybe black coaches just aren't good enough to win a Super Bowl. Now it's Snoop Dogg, right? I mean, so you gotta kind of take it with a grain of salt. Who knows what strain he was smoking that day?
Right, exactly.
But it is something that even black people had internalized for sure at some point that, there's this whole notion of meritocracy, which is a farce and always has been, especially when you're talking about coaching and stuff of that nature.
And hiring practices.
They'll come up with every excuse in the book not to hire a black guy, right? You have to have this extensive resume.
Right.
Then it's not enough you have an extensive resume. It has to be an extensive resume on the offensive side of the ball now. Yeah. And now that's not good enough. Now you have to actually call the plays. You can't just be a quarterback coach or a wide receivers coach. You have to call the plays. And then you call the plays. Now that ain't good enough because, is it the head coach really doing it? Do you really know about personnel? They're going to come up with every excuse they can because they can and because they've always done that. And then you look and they say, well, you got to be a coordinator. But you know what you never hear about? You never hear about a team owner or a GM pressing a head coach candidate on whether they'll have a diverse staff or not. Are you going to give any people of color a chance to run your offense or defense or special teams?
Right.
And it's so bad that we have to point out when some teams actually do that, like the Buccaneers, Bruce Arians, you have to give him props. Every one of his coordinators,
all
offense, defense, special teams, are black men.
Yeah.
Right? But that is few and far between in a league that is made up of 70% black players.
Bruce Arians, they said he said that he sits back and let Tom Brady call the plays or run the plays. Sometimes he just sit back and watch. I might be wrong, but I didn't like when he said that. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. Right. What are you saying about your offensive coordinator? Ain't he a black guy?
Yeah.
Or what the hell is you saying about him? That he ain't doing his job? He ain't calling no plays?
No, first you got to remember something. Bruce Arians is really the offensive coordinator.
That's what I'm going to say. Don't he call the plays?
He doesn't call plays. He's turned play calling ability over to Byron Leftwich.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he still runs the offense, basically. It's still his offense. What he was saying, I think, is that Brady now has ownership of this offense where he's letting them know what kind of plays he likes, what kind of plays he doesn't. And so in practice, per se, he's showing them, hey, this is how I want this play run. This is what works for me. And to be honest, when you look at the film, man, there's a difference in how he played in the first half of the season and really right up until that first Chiefs game. If you watch, man, one of the things that about Tom Brady is we're used to him throwing before the receiver even comes out of his break. You know what I'm saying? He has this great anticipation on his throws in New England because he knew that offense in and out. Well, this is a totally new offense for him here, and it took a while for him to kind of acclimate himself to it. But I think also what helps is Bruce Arians finally said, well, let's incorporate some of the stuff you're used to and marry it with some of the stuff I like. And so that's why I think you see more, say, for instance, you see more play action pass now. Because that's something that Brady really likes to do, and it's helped a lot, especially on the deep shots. Especially now that we'll run the ball a little bit better too. But, Arians likes to take deep shots, but he's usually more of a 5-out in the route guy. That's one of the drawbacks people have had about him is, his offense is going to put up points and they're going to push the ball down the field, but because the protection isn't there, he gets his quarterbacks killed. So what Brady has kind of married to that is we still got the pushing the ball down the field element, but now we got the protection element to go with it. So he's not worried about, guys being all over him as soon as he hits that last step in his drop back. Yeah. So I think, and I could be wrong, but I think Bruce Arians was just, making reference to the fact that, he's been open to a lot of Brady's ideas so that they can kind of, meld what Arians likes to do and what Brady likes to do together and make the offense better.
And I'm going to say this, as much as they talk about Tampa Bay offense, I'm going to hold tight to what I said. It's this damn defense is the reason Tampa Bay is where they at in this playoffs when shit hit the fan. Because when Brady turned them ball three turnovers on his last game, that defense could have welted. They made Aaron Rodgers and them do 3 and outs twice of them 2 turnovers, man. And I said, damn.
Right.
I haven't seen nobody.
That's the ghost of Jameis Winston showing up and helping them out. They used to all those turnovers for the quarterback.
Yeah. So Steve is making me really look at this defense a little bit closer, man. And every time I see him, damn, you telling me you jamming at the line of scrimmage or bailing out, but you ain't giving the damn wide receivers nothing. They the few defensive teams that I've seen that's doing that right now, man. And I mean, they ain't letting up. The defense ain't letting up, period. Oh, dang, you ain't giving up nothing easy.
Yeah, but Green Bay wide receivers compared to Kansas City wide receivers is 2 different things, baby.
Well, guess what, Rob? That's the crap we said. That's the same crap we said before Tampa Bay played Green Bay. Yeah. Who did Tampa Bay play?
New Orleans. We said New Orleans was going to go off on.
Well, we said we put it on Drew Brees because he couldn't throw it down the field. Aaron Rodgers was going to throw it down the field. Look, man, I don't know what happened in that first game with Green Bay and Tampa Bay, but they basically whooped their ass the second time, same way, man. So I'm going to come out for it.
They weren't stupid like Green Bay. They weren't just like, we're going to play single high safety and they're going to throw down the field. Tyreek Hill makes plays on everybody. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't a whole lot of coverages you're going to be able to call to stop Tyreek Hill. That's why you don't try to stop Tyreek Hill. You try to stop Mahomes before he can get the ball to Tyreek Hill. And that's the most important thing.
Hey, Steve.
And we go back to 2 backup tackles.
All right, man. We're going to close the show out, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hey, hit us up on Facebook, YouTube. I put the highlights on. Put the highlights on Facebook. And we got some good stuff coming up, man. Y'all just keep tuning in.